Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So I've told stories many a times, or told the same story many a times about how racism is not going to work. You cannot destroy the spirit of racism. You can delete, you can get rid of, you can bury the person, but that spirit will always be there. It goes from person to person. It's like it's a spirit. So it's not going anywhere. And I told you about how when my mom tells me stories about how when she grew up that, she dealt with racism in a little small town in Arkansas. She had teachers. Well, we say teachers. She said she said that she wanted to be a nurse or a doctor or something like that while she was growing up. And the teacher said, well, we don't know if you're going to be able to do that. Maybe you can be like a janitor or like a maid or something like that. But growing up in a little small town, face a lot of racism. Okay. And I sit there and think that if she's telling me those stories, then that means the people that put her through it, that she went through it with, they're still alive and they're telling their kids and their kids' kids these stories, and them people still alive too. So, like I said, there's no way that racism or bigotry, whatever you want to call it, is going to go away. And case in point, came across a story today. This is from MSN.com by way of the New York Post. And it reads, wealthy white couple allegedly kept their black adopted children as slaves, locked them in a barn, states report. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there was this amendment called giving the number of 13. And this so-called amendment ratified slavery in the free world. But it kept it, in the confines of prison, which is why a lot of people think prison, that's why so many, Black American males that we are disproportionately the population in the prison system, because it's just another form of slavery, free labor, and people don't get paid maybe 17 cents an hour at the most. Most prisons don't pay their prisoners anything, but they charge them for like phone calls, bottled water, commissary, all that kind of stuff, So it's like a racket. Plus, they got them working, making all kind of products for the free world at little to no cost. But yeah, like I said, the 13th Amendment, don't say ratified slavery, but here you have a couple in 2024 who felt like, the hell with that 13th Amendment. We're going to do what we want to do. We're going to do what we know is best. We're going to do what our people know what to do. So let's get into this story, because it's a lot to look at and break down. It says a wealthy white West Virginia couple forced their adopted black children to work as slaves and sleep in a barn, according to disturbing charges. Donald Ray Lance, 63, and Jean K. White Feather, 62, pleaded not guilty to more than a dozen new charges on Tuesday after two teens were found locked in a crumbling shed in ratty clothing, Metro News reported. Now, 63, 62. My mom is probably, 67. So around about that same age, right? What did I say? The stories that my mom told me, if she's still alive, these people still alive. So, like I said, they're still alive and well. Lance and White Feather were first arrested in October after a wellness check led to the discovery of the couple's 5 adopted children, aged 6, 9, 11, 14, and 16, living in deplorable conditions in their Sissonville property. The indictment, which Kanawha County Circuit Judge Mary Claire Akers said was one of the worst she's ever seen, alleges that the adopted children were forced to work on the couple's farmland because of their race. And what race is that? The Black American race. How is it you just look at kids and say, hey, y'all are black. We're going to adopt them. We're going to make them our slaves. Instead of just, having your own kids, how come you couldn't adopt, these poor little white children out here that needs a good home, right? Or you can adopt them and put them to work. No, you did it because they were black. I mean, my gosh. It alleges human trafficking, human rights violations, the use of forced labor, Akers told the court. Human rights violations specific to the fact that these children were targeted because of their race, and they were used basically as slaves from what the indictment alleges. So the indictment is going deep. The couple faces numerous charges, including human trafficking of a minor child, use of a minor child in forced labor, and child neglect, creating substantial risk of serious bodily injury or death. White, Feather, and Lance were arrested after a child welfare call by a neighbor claimed 2 teenagers were being locked in the shed at the couple's Sissonville home, according to a court filing, W.C.H.S. reports. Neighbors also, it's a lot of land too when you look at the pictures. Neighbors are also reported that the children were forced to perform farm labor and were not permitted inside the residence. The filing stated. So I guess you didn't have no house Negroes, huh? Only field Negroes. Amazing. Police found a 14-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl locked in the shed. Inside was a small, 14 and 16. Can you imagine? What were you doing? Where were you when you was 14 and when you was 16? 14, 16, what's that, junior high and high school? Or 16, yeah. So you should be like a 8th grader and maybe a 10th grader by this time, right? At the least. 8th grade. I remember being in school, hanging with my friends. Think I had a girlfriend or two during my junior high years. High school, same thing. Hell, I think about 10th grade. I didn't have a car yet. I didn't have a car yet in 10th grade. That came like a year later when I was 17 or whatever. But, I mean, just imagine if you think that your living conditions were bad at 14, 16. Blame your parents, blame the world. Probably out there trying to, sell drugs, sell your body, whatever the case. Little girls having boyfriends that's in their 20s. Things of this nature because of the society that you're in, you think it's just not good. Out there hanging out. Who knows? But yet, it could have been worse. You could have been actual 21st century slaves on a freaking plantation in the heart of America. The two said the couple forced them, 14. One of the teens told police they had been locked in the barn for 12 hours when they were last fed. The two said the couple forced them to sleep on the concrete floor without any mattress. They both wore dirty clothes and smelled like body odor, police noted, according to the filing. You know what I'm thinking here? I don't know if these are brothers and sisters, but let's just say that they're not. At 14 and 16, and you got monsters who are modern day slave owners. Exactly what do you think? One of the tasks they probably had these two doing. If not doing it yet, eventually they was going to have them do. I'm just going to say the same thing you would do when you get a male and a female pit bull, or a male or female bull, or or a horse, or even back in the day during slavery when you needed more slaves. How are you going to do it? The girls, but they hadn't said anything about that, so we're just going to speculate right now. But I would not be surprised if something like that comes out eventually. The girl wore shoes while the 14-year-old boy had open sores on his bare feet, court document said. A 9-year-old girl was found by police inside the main residence. 3 hours later, Lance arrived with an 11-year-old boy. Again, a boy and a girl. Kind of young there, but if you can keep this charade and this facade going on long enough, what do you think they're going to have them doing? White Feather soon followed with a 6-year-old girl who'd been with acquaintances. White Feather told deputies that the two teens were locked in the outbuilding, but claimed they liked it and called it a clubhouse. Yeah, that sounds kind of sexually deviant to me right there. The children described ongoing abuses at the West Virginia home and their parents, other residents in Washington State. Prosecutors also said they have evidence a couple moved from Washington after they learned they were under investigation for abuse and neglect. Judge Akers decided to raise their bond earlier after the prosecution alleged that their ongoing original cash bonds were obtained through trafficking profits after the couple was able to pay a $400,000 bond for their release from jail in February, according to Metro News. Through trafficking products. I wonder what that means. Kanawha County Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Christopher Krivoniak said the couple sold an 80-acre ranch in Tonasket, Washington for $725,000 on February 2nd. Whitefeather's brother posted $200,000 bonds to jump the couple from the South Central Regional Jail 3 days later. On March 28th, prosecutors said the couple sold the Sismville home where they were arrested for $295,000. Prosecutors argued that even if their bond money came from a legitimate source, its intended use was human trafficking and forced labor. Yeah, because they sold their property to be able to take these kids somewhere else to do the slave work. So yes, this is for human trafficking. You know, they say if you take somebody across state lines, that's a federal offense. Kind of like these fool rappers flying these Instagram models around across state lines for immoral purposes. Yeah, that's human trafficking. That's like the Mann Act. That's a federal case that can get you locked up. Krivoniak argued the money should be transferred from the custody of the state to a trust fund for the children. Lance and Whitefeather were taken back into custody after their bonds was raised to $500,000 each. It's amazing that the court's gonna say, "Hey, you paid it. Now it must not have been enough. Let's raise that," because I don't agree with that. I think they need to be in the penitentiary. So now these young kids, the little kids, are gonna go back into the system. It's bad enough that they was up for adoption in the system anyway. So it's already one form of rejection that your mom and dad either don't want you, or the grandparents don't want you, or someone in your family didn't want to take care of you. And now you get put in the system, dumped to the system, and then these people get you and they abuse you, treat you like animals, like human chattel. And then you get put right back in the system. So now you done got, this is sad. This is really sad. Now you might be thinking, hey, some of y'all, empathizers with those folk might say, hey, this is just one couple. I mean, it's not like, why make such a big deal out of it? It's one couple, what do you call lone wolf couple. So why not just, don't make a big deal about it. Just let it, just let it ride off into the sunset. Well, here's the problem. That's how it starts with one deviant. You have, let's say, start with one girl want to be a video vixen. And then the next thing you know, I'm buying King magazine and Smooth magazine every freaking month, seeing every video vixen I can. It takes one Instagram model to get flued out somewhere with a rapper, and now every girl in the hood and every young female think they're Instagram model. The eyelashes, the BBLs, all it takes is one. Somebody selling drugs, somebody shooting somebody pulling out a gun and shoot somebody because they upset. All it takes is one. And then next thing you know, it grows. And now you're having laws. They having gun laws trying to curb all this gun sales and gun use and activities. You have one person who does, one couple who does this. Get away with it. Some of their friends find out they get away with it. That movie, what's that movie? Get Out? Okay. Some of their friends find out about they got away with it, and their friends try. This couple with that 14 and 16-year-old, who knows, maybe trying to breed, and this thing they pop out babies and they give them to their friends, and they buy these big plots of land. What they did? Sold one plot, one sale of real estate with 80 acres. Huh? And, you know, your friends, y'all wealthy, y'all got a bunch of land, and y'all adopting all these, like I said, these Negro kids, and y'all having, next thing you know, you having a whole state with slave farms, and somehow they have the money, legislate and get behind them, and somehow the 13th Amendment gets ratified locally, and now they'll rename it. Won't be slave labor. It'll be something else to try to make it sound like it's, you know, a little more palatable. And then next you know, it's going on across state, and then it's going on across the country. And it's like, by the time you figure it out, illegal migrants, the influx, remember that? By the time you figure it out, it's too late. It's too late. And now you're fighting to get rid of it, fight to turn it back, and it's so widespread that you don't know what to do. So you got to be careful with this stuff. You got to nip it in the bud. You see it one time, cut the head off a snake, and, you know what I'm saying, let it die where it lay. But like I said, the spirit of racism, the spirit of slavery, the spirit of bigotry is not going to go away. You can't control the way people think. Now, you can control their actions in many ways, but you can't control how people feel. That's the one thing you got to understand. Once you realize you can't control how people feel, then it's a little easier to take care of business, to get things done, to, you know, to make people act correctly. But until then, hey, things we got to deal with. But anyway, tell what you think about this story. Leave your comments below, then share it with the world. Hey, don't forget to support the channel. There's 4 ways you can support the channel. They don't cost you anything but about 2 minutes out your life. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you do want to support the channel monetarily, you can do super thanks, super chats, or you can click the link. You can go to the description box. There are links there though that you can click on to help support that way. Like, for instance, you can go to marlonmorale.com, get your perfume, cologne, silk scarves, silk do-rags, just, you know, top of the line luxury items, same quality, same type of products that you get from the high name brand companies, but same stuff. It's just not the name, you know, it's just marlonmorale.com. But with that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.